back to Nat Chat, the Natilik podcast. In this episode, we're getting a unique perspective on the return to the office with our people team. So many businesses are currently planning how hybrid working will be working for them. So we speak to the people designing Natilik's approach for insight into what goes into making it a success. And we also discuss how we've incorporated automation into our in-house technology to make our office workers' lives easier on this episode of the Natilik podcast. All right, it's that time again, listener. We've got three of the best and brightest here to talk to you about planning a safe and productive return to the office. This time around, we're looking at arguably the most important factor, some might say, the people. With me today, it's my absolute pleasure to be joined by Natilik Chief People Officer, Kelly White. Welcome to the pod, Kelly.
Thank you, Rob. Great to be here.
Yeah, first time. Promise to go easy on you. And also first time, we've got the debut of Charlotte Page, People Services Manager. How are you doing, Charlotte? You good?
Yeah, good, thank you. Pleased to be here.
Good. Yeah, pleased to have you. And Hayley Knott makes a return to the Natilik podcast, Product Marketing Manager, and one of the brains behind Natilik's Safe Harbour Return to the Office project. Hello, Mrs. Knott.
Hi, Rob. Hey, guys.
Welcome back. Welcome back. So, as I mentioned on the top of the show, we're here to talk about a different element of the return to the office. We spent the last part of season one discussing it from a technology angle, but today we want to focus on some of the real practical elements. So, Kelly, coming to you first, because I know you've been through various iterations of the return to the office, and I know it's a conversation you've had with many people and HR teams within our clients. So can you talk a little bit about what the return to the offices look like for Natilik and set the scene for us a little bit?
Yeah, of course, Rob. And it's been a really interesting time for us all. And what's really guided us is making sure that all of our decisions are people-focused and people-centric. So listening to how our people feel and listening to what our people want has been the most important driver for us. So we've taken a lot of time to listen to what our people want and ensure our policies reflect that. And what we're really finding, Rob, is that there's a real spectrum of views about COVID, but also how people feel about returning to the office. So those people that absolutely cannot wait to return, and those who are quite fearful to return. And most important approach we want to have is to be inclusive of all. So being able to ensure that we can serve the needs of all in a safe manner. So for us, safety is paramount. That has to be our number one priority. So we've had to ensure that we've listened to the right government advice and ensure we've got all the right health and safety measures in place, but also make sure that we are listening to what our people are saying and offering people to come back to the office in a safe way and being able to, it's great news that we have been able to do that, and we have people in the offices today, and which has worked really well, and we've had some great feedback. But what we have said is that we've not mandated any of our policies for people to come back. The only thing that we have mandated is to ensure an inclusive approach. So if you're having a meeting and it's in the office, to make sure that you have a WebEx invite included into that meeting, so that person is not excluded from that meeting or that event. So that's really been important to us. But we're learning on this, Rob. I think, every time we watch the news and seeing that there's different variants or different progress with the vaccines, different ability to kind of do the testing, different test and trace systems. We're kind of adapting as we go along and learning.
Yeah, it seems to be the common recurring theme. I mean, throughout all of our guests, no matter, whether they're, the Ciscos of the world, big organizations, or some of the smaller clients that I've spoken to, I think everyone seems to be, in agreement that it is a learning process. And Charlotte, you work in one of the sort of mini businesses within the business of Natilik. So you're kind of focused on our commercial business. But how have things been sort of within that kind of, smaller part of the business, but still obviously very important? You're working directly with people, and on a day-to-day basis. How's that been for you?
It's not been too bad, really. I mean, I only joined Natilik about 6 months ago now, so haven't actually met a lot of people face to face. But I mean, for me, remote working has actually been quite positive. So I've been able to kind of get that one-to-one time in, which potentially you wouldn't actually get in the office. But I think with commercial, I know a lot of the teams have been meeting up into the office, having their team days, having that time together. And obviously that's something I know Natilik has generally really missed from the social aspect. But as Kelly said, we just want to make sure that if people aren't comfortable going into the office, that they don't feel forced to, like peer pressure or anything like that, returning in. So just say if you're not comfortable, if all of your team members are coming in, as Kelly said, we can have a WebEx in a meeting request and things like that. So we just want to avoid people getting a bit too stressed out about it if they're not comfortable.
Yeah, and I totally get that as well. I think especially when the office being in London, going on the tube and things like that, it was always at the best of times not the cleanest and most healthy experience, let alone during a pandemic, to be fair. So, and I know a big focus on you has also been, just to quickly talk about it, because I think we're going to have a podcast about that specifically, but the mental wellbeing community that you're a big part of as well. So could you just talk quickly about that and how that sort of helps it?
Of course. So I'm the leader of the mental wellbeing community, and a huge focus for us is about kind of avoiding stress and anxiety at work. So, and a key thing at the moment is obviously coming back into the office. So, as I said, we just want to make sure that everyone just says if they're not ready to, because obviously different people are in different mindsets about it. Some people don't want to come back unless they've had their full vaccine. Some people might still have people shielding at home. You just don't know what's going on in people's personal lives and how they feel about it. So it's just making sure that we don't want to create stress for people about like enforcing people come back into the office. So it's just making sure that they're comfortable. I've used that word a lot, but that is the core thing, really.
Yeah, it's important. It's important, and it's an important conversation as well. So I look forward to talking a little bit more about the community in the near future. One thing, Hayley, bringing you into the conversation that's been quite interesting is just the way that technology has helped, and there's been a bit of a focus and a shift on IT teams. So we obviously aren't talking too much about the tech here, but I think we'd be remiss not to talk a little bit about the project you were involved in, so Safe Harbor, and how that's helped. So would you be able to give a quick overview on that and the sort of creation of it, and how, I mean, that's been a rousing success within the organization, so how that came together?
Yeah, so it's quite interesting actually. So obviously Natilik, as part of our culture, is we like to be very innovative. We like to see challenges in a little bit of a different way, and we have some great minds in Natilik who are able to really bring technology to life and solve challenges very creatively. And back in October, when there was the potential of offices reopening, we had the Eat Out to Help Out scheme, and things were at that point looking like there was going to be a shift. We brought everyone together and we thought, right, how can we utilize the technology we already have at Natilik, technology from some of our ecosystem partners and our strategic focus partners, and really make sure that we were helping Charlotte and Kelly and the team to ensure that we were creating a safe environment for people to return to. So we have an in-house DevOps central team, and together they kind of thought about what the challenges were, what we needed to achieve, and what technology our people already were adopting well. So we use WebEx, we use WebEx Teams, and being able to layer on top a new booking system so people could book allocated workspaces in the office, which were safely distanced. And we also had a log and a system to be able to say who was in the office, where, for how long, etc., was really important from a compliance perspective, from a safety perspective, and also from tracking, like a track and trace perspective. We created enterprise assistants, so they're like driven by like an automated bot technology that allows us to kind of book it on if we were in motion, so it makes it mobile, and that all goes through WebEx Teams. And then it's all about the experience of when you're actually in the office. So you arrive in the office, we set up a facial recognition with a camera, to be able to kind of have a zero touch approach to registering to come into the office. So it was minimizing the actual physical like touching that you had to do in regards to registering. And then it also gave you directions to the workspace that you had booked. So if you were new to the company, so say like Charlotte, who's joined during like the remote work during lockdown, if she didn't know where exactly, desk 102A was, it would come up. So we use technology such as Maze Map, which is a wayfinding technology to be able to like guide people to the safest workspace available.
Yeah. So it's like a combination of pretty much 4 or 5 different technologies that just make the experience so much easier. And I think definitely,
Yeah, it is. And I think also it's about kind of visualizing the technology that you have at hand already and seeing how it can be utilized for a new outcome and in a new way. It's not necessarily having to put a massive upfront investment into creating or buying a brand new solution. You can integrate, you can collaborate, and you can connect the technologies that are already in play. Like in your office, everybody will have a wireless network with the Wi-Fi. It's being able to leverage what is there to best suit the challenges of the business now.
yeah, and it's worked super well, super well. I think almost flawlessly. I mean, I think I'm impressed every time I go in. I mean, it just works without any hitch. You book just by just typing into WebEx or Microsoft Teams just what spaces are available. You show it your face and it tells you where to go, and that's pretty much it. So can't really say much more than that. And I've been quite vocal on the pod. And just about anyone that will listen, to be honest, that I was a keen advocate before of working from home to focus on key tasks and being in the office to collaborate with colleagues, which I think it feels like the world in general is coming around to, Kelly. But looking a little bit further ahead, everyone's still trying to figure out sort of what the balance would look like. I know when I spoke to on the pod, Justin Woolen at Cisco, the head of collaboration, he described it as a Mexican standoff of clients kind of all just looking at each other, seeing who's going to move first. So could you perhaps give us a little bit of an insight into what I think future of work, as many are calling it, is going to look like for Natilik? Because I know that's taken up a large portion of your time recently, and you've been working closely with our IT team on that.
Yeah, of course, Rob. And it's really interesting because I think we're in a great position to take all the good things about working from home, like you mentioned, the focus work, the reduced time to get to the office, the ability to have that work-life balance, being there for friends or kids, school pickup, all those things, or maybe going out to the gym or run, managing your workload better from home, less interruptions. There's a huge amount of benefits from working from home. However, there are some negatives we know that are from working from home: the isolation, and we also know that our people have less breaks when they're working from home, and the intensity of having lots of screen time, we know, and Charlotte reminds me all the time, not good for mental well-being when you're on too many WebExes. So we know there's plus points and negative points of working from home, and we know being in the office, there's a huge amount of benefits. There's huge amounts of learning that you gain from just overhearing colleagues' conversations, to having that water cooler moment where you're speaking to somebody that you wouldn't normally speak to. The interaction, and just it's good to see people in person. However, the downside of being in the office is the commute and all those things of when we used to being 5 days a week is also not good. So we think this is a perfect opportunity to take all the good things about working from home and all the good things about the office and get that balance right. And we are working on that in terms of finding the balance. And the reality is, we think it's a combination of the two. And what would be expected is 2 days in the office and the rest from working from home as an average. But really looking for people to change the way that they work. So really manage their diaries. So you schedule in focus work at home. and you schedule in a really productive meeting, collaborative meetings when you're in the office. So use that time to ensure that you are meeting up with a colleague, you're scheduling meetings where you know people are going to be around. And we're going to use the tech to ensure that when people are in the office, they know who's going to be in the office and they can have those great meetings and those great conversations. So we're really excited about it because I think COVID has helped accelerate that trend, hybrid working, and we will create a better work-life balance for everybody as a result, and a better working experience and a more exciting office. I think we're going to get a better office as an outcome. So we're looking at redesigning the office.
Nice. So is that as far as like Google style slides, or I imagine you've probably had suggestions for those type of things if you've really been reaching out to absolutely everyone in the business to what they want?
Yeah, the slide always comes up as a requirement whenever you send a survey out. It's always quite interesting. But I think what is really interesting is this. We always wanted we always thought the way forward was open plan. Always open plan. That's everything. No closed offices, not meeting rooms, big sort of open plan, collaborative spaces. And what's interesting is that there's lots of disadvantages of that open plan, overhearing conversations, maybe privately. So we're looking at actually redesigning the office to have good closed spaces where you can have conversations, but kind of keep an open plan feel. And also looking about how we can create the office to be more of a place of hospitality. So before, it was always designing an office where it would be like a kitchen, a communal office kitchen, that you would serve your own food or make your own coffees. And we're looking to flip that on its head and create a hospitality office experience. So imagine coming in, Rob, and somebody getting you a coffee and looking after you, making sure that when you go to your meeting, you have your drinks, looking after your clients, and really upping our game on the hospitality front to ensure people feel looked after. And hence the office becomes more of a social club vibe than a traditional office. So we're really excited about exploring that concept.
Definitely. Yeah, I like where it's I like where it sounds like it's going, at least anyway. I'm sure there's still a little bit of it that's up in the air. And what about, I know obviously our central location is also something that I quite like, in terms of being Liverpool Street. I know, again, in terms of getting clients in to come and check out the latest and greatest tech, is that still something that we're planning on doing with the office?
In terms of the central location, it's really important. And I think what we've realised is it's more about quality rather than quantity. So we're looking to actually downsize the office by a third and ensuring that we don't have that traditional desk task chair setup. There's a small allocation of that space because we recognise that some people might not have a great home office setup, but actually the majority of the space will be dedicated to that collaboration space. But also what we found is to replan the office is really exciting because you can create different meeting rooms for different types of client meetings. So maybe you've got a project meeting where you need more stand-up creative ideas. Maybe you're doing a presentation and so you need more sound protection, more acoustic sound protection. Or maybe you need a meeting that needs to be more informal if you're doing a one-to-one, or it's more of a client formal meeting. So you could choose your meeting based on your client, maybe based on the type of meeting. So it's a really exciting time where we can just not do what we've always done before and create sort of a template standard office and meeting room. We can really change things and experiment with things.
Yeah, use it as an opportunity, right? I think that's it's definitely something that we need to do. And I think something that Mike spoke about when we had him on the podcast, look at the opportunity that we've got. So it's very exciting. So loads of great takeaways there. And Hayley, you've been focusing on raising awareness of pretty much all of this to our clients as part of the campaign that we've been working on. So why don't you talk us through a little bit before we sign off on what's out there, what we can look forward to seeing, and some things that we've got to help our clients.
Yeah, no, totally. So we wanted to make sure that we were offering some services and some packages that our clients could really kind of take up instantly to be able to, because obviously there is a little bit of a time sensitive push on this. So we wanted to make sure that we had things like our wireless surveys, and they can be done, like we have audits and we have surveys, they could be done preemptively, so not having to go to the office, or they can be done on site. And this is, to be able to analyze and assess whether the wireless infrastructure is going to be able to cope with everybody coming back into the office, and everybody being, like Kelly said, incorporating a video call into their meetings. Quite, most of our office spaces have never had to deal with that amount of video traffic going across. So that is something which hopefully people will start to address and look at before they will arrive back in and realize things are starting to struggle. So we've got our wireless surveys on hand. We're also offering hardware trials. So this is, we talked about being inclusive and provisioning people correctly for whether they're working from home or whether they're working in the office. And we have desk video units, and we also have the huddle space, like room kits, video room kits, which we have as hardware trials for people to take, to utilize, to get a feel for, to put them in different spaces, see how the new spaces work, to really make sure that that video element is incorporated into everything that you do moving forwards. Also, we have the Safe Harbour up and running in our DSQ in our Liverpool Street office. So please, if anybody would like to have a look, you can come and you can book a demo, and you book in with one of our guys that can take you through, and you will go through the whole process from getting notification on actually like your meeting that you've booked, where the room is, coming in, filling in the health disclaimer, and the whole process, so you get to see what that experience is like. And then also, if you didn't want to come into the office, we can also do demos virtually. So we can take you through what our enterprise assistants look like, how they're enabling us at Natilik, and have enabled some of our clients to really activate the technology and the collaboration technology that we have for today's challenges.
Pretty much all bases covered then. Yeah, I like it a lot. So I'll include links definitely in the show notes to more information on that, because I know there's a load of good content, guides, all sorts of things that we could probably be listing off for quite a while. So definitely worth taking a look at. But I think that's a really nice little snapshot into what we're doing, what we can do to help, and sort of covering that holistically. So thank you very much for your time, ladies. It's been a pleasure. I think we'll call it a day there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to Nat Chat, the Natilik podcast. Please subscribe to the Natilik podcast on Spotify, Apple Music, or wherever you get your podcasts. And leave us a review while you're there. It really helps us improve and grow the show. Please note that opinions expressed on the Natilik podcast are those of the hosts or our guests, not the organisations that they represent. You can find more information on Natilik on our website, that's natilik.com. You can also find us on social media. On Twitter, we're at Natilik Group, as well as Facebook and LinkedIn. Our theme music was provided by Dan Short, who you can find at Danzer, that's DANZR, on music streaming services. This is Rob Thor, and thanks again for listening. Welcome back to Nat